After a wild 2 weeks of state marching contests and super regional taking place in the great state of Texas, we are here for week 6 of the marching band playoff bracket, which I'm here to tell you right off the jump, things have been shaken up. Now, if this is your first time here, this is how things work. We have divided the country into 7 different regions. We have the Pacific, the Mountain, the Plains, the Lone Star, the Lakes, the Northeast, and the Southeast. Each of those regions will have a number 1 seed that auto-qualify for your top 20 bracket. Then the remaining 13 are at-large bids that can come from any region, even just one. We put them all together, we seed them, and then we insert them into the bracket. Now, pay very close attention, because this is not a rankings list. It is not based on who beat who or the scores that came out or anything like that. Yes, all of that is taken into account. However, we don't just take this weekend. We take the prelims and finals. We take what happened last weekend. We take head-to-head. We take all of those things together to create what I like to say is more of a power rating. That is, if we took these bands and we put them all together on a neutral field and they competed as of today, how would they come out? How would the seedings, how would the scorings, yes, I guess how would the rankings come out when you put them all together? It's important more than ever this year that I clarify that I explain that, especially when you see how some of these seedings have come out, because I can already see in the comment section down below, how did you put this band over that band when this band beat that band? Trust me, listen. There are more than one round when it comes to state marching contests, when it comes to Bands of America, when it comes to area marching contests. And when you get bands that are so close and they flip-flop back and forth, sometimes you have to look back and say, well, who won more meetings when they met? Or you look at and say, which contest do you think carries more weight? Yes, I'm taking more time to explain this because I know it's going to get a little wonky. So with all that out of the way, let's get into the marching band playoff bracket, week 6. First, we have our auto qualifiers. From the Pacific, Vista Murrieta. From the Mountain, American Fork. From the Plains, Blue Springs. From Lone Star, Hebron. From the Lakes, Avon. From the Northeast, Kiski area. And from the Southeast, Tarpon Springs. That's right, while we did have a super regional in San Antonio, we had state marching contest in Texas and Indiana. The only auto qualifier that shifted was Hebron High School, now coming out of Lone Star. And we will say that in the time between last week's results and this week's results, it changed twice already. You can probably guess how it changed, but the results don't come out after Sunday. We don't insert the bracket until after everything, and we waited until 6A state marching contest finals were done before we grouped together and discussed the seedings. Now let's get into round 1 and find out just how much the seedings and matchups have changed. In round 1, number 17 Cedar Park travels to Bentonville, Arkansas to take on number 16 Bentonville. And the winner of that hypothetical matchup travels up to the state of Indiana to take on new number 1 seed Avon. Number 20, Kiski area, travels to Leander, Texas to take on number 13, Rouse. The winner of that hypothetical matchup travels up to the state of Indiana to take on number 4, Carmel. Number 19, Vista Murrieta, travels to Coppell, Texas to take on number 14, Coppell. The winner of that hypothetical matchup travels up the road to Carrollton, Texas to take on number 3, Hebron. And then number 18, American Fork, travels to Pearland, Texas to take on number 15, Pearland. The winner of that hypothetical matchup would travel all the way across the Gulf of Mexico to Spunger Stadium to take on number 2, Tarpon Springs. And now for our round 2 matchups that don't include our top 4 seeds. Number 9, Vista Ridge, travels to Blue Springs, Missouri to take on number 8, Blue Springs. Number 12, William Mason, travels down to the great state of Texas to take on number 5, Flower Mound. Number 11, Marcus, travels down the road to take on number 6, Vandegrift. And number 10, The Woodlands, travels to Oklahoma to take on number 7, Broken Arrow. And there you have it, week 6 of the General Effect Media Marching Band Playoff Bracket, the last week of the bracket as you know it for 2024. If you would rather just like to see the seedings, well, there you go. And you can see why we gave such a clarification at the beginning of this episode, much like the Bands of America announcers discussing the tie-breaking procedure. And you can look at this and go, wait a minute, didn't a certain band beat another? Yes, all of that is true. All of that is true. Much like in the college football playoff bracket or the AP poll or the coaches poll, sometimes teams that beat other teams are still below the team they beat. I know it doesn't make sense. It seems wonky. It seems backwards. But again, if we took these 20 bands and we put them on a neutral playing field, this is how we feel things would come out from a 1 through 20. I totally get that this will never happen in real life. So it's all hypothetical. It's all fantasy band, which makes it fun, but also makes it incredibly complicated when bands are separated by mere tenths or ordinals when they compete 2 times in one weekend and then 2 times the next week. It can get crazy. It can absolutely get crazy. Henceforth, why we do this every week and have a lot of fun and why we have to explain things. Now, I did say this was the last week of the Marching Band Playoff Bracket as you know it, because next week, sometime after we've cooled off a little bit, we will be unveiling the Marching Band Playoff Bracket 1 through 64. That's right. We will wait till Grand Nationals, Florida and California are done. We will release our 1 through 64, 4 different regions, very similar to the NCAA March Madness bracket. It'll take a little bit of thinking, it'll take a lot of talking and discussing, and probably go through a whole lot of changes before we finally unveil it to you. We will then also have printable brackets. If you subscribe to the Substack, you will get the link where you can print it out and fill it out yourself. We would love for you to share your thoughts of who would win these hypothetical matchups and go forth and all that stuff. There won't be any buys this week. There'll be 1 through 16s. There'll be 2 to 15s, 12 versus 5s, all of those stuff that we know and love from college basketball, specifically for marching bands. So as we say, let us know in the comment section down below what you thought about these seedings, these matchups, this bracket. Yes, I realize it. In Texas, we had some craziness. You had Vandergrift coming in hot, 5 weeks undefeated in the Lone Star representative. And then they go to BOA. Flower Mound wins finals, but Hebron won prelims. And then we go to state marching contest where Hebron won prelims and finals, but they tied with Vandergrift and Flower Mound was set. Like, it was a whole different thing. All that, we get it. That's why conversations take place. But at the end of the day, if we put all these 20 bands together, neutral site, how does it come out? This is how we see it go. Let's discuss what you think about all of that in the comment section down below. We'll see you in a few weeks for the 2024 Marching Band Playoff Bracket 1 through 64. Before then, you will probably see another episode of the recap and maybe one more episode of This Weekend in Band. So make sure you stay tuned to the General Effect Media YouTube channel. Subscribe, give a thumbs up, click that notification bell, all of that great stuff. We'll catch you in the next video.